Someone in your office is talking about you right now, not to your face, behind your back, and you have no idea what they're saying.
Ooh, that's an uncomfortable way to start an episode, Thomas, but honestly, so real.
Right? And welcome back to Joobira Zone, everyone. Today, we're stepping just slightly outside our usual money talk to dig into something that actually affects your career, your paycheck, and your sanity: workplace gossip.
I'm Maya, and yes, we know this isn't strictly financial literacy, but stick with us because gossip has real financial consequences. Reputation affects promotions, promotions affect raises, and raises affect your entire financial trajectory.
Exactly, that's the connection. This isn't just office drama, this is career strategy. So, Maya, let's start simple. Have you ever been caught in the middle of workplace gossip?
Oh, absolutely. Early in my career, I found out through the grapevine that people thought I was too ambitious and trying to steal a promotion from a coworker. I hadn't even applied for it yet.
Wait, so people had already decided you were the villain of a story you weren't even part of yet?
Exactly. And that's honestly how a lot of gossip works. It's not built on facts, it's built on assumptions that spread faster than the truth ever could.
That's such a good point. I think that's part of what makes gossip so dangerous. It moves fast, and by the time you hear about it, it's already shaped how people see you.
Right, and you're constantly playing catch-up, trying to correct a narrative you never even agreed to be part of.
So why do you think gossip is so common in workplaces specifically? Like, why does it seem to thrive there more than almost anywhere else?
I think it's because workplaces are pressure cookers. You've got people competing for limited resources, promotions, recognition, and that competition creates this undercurrent of tension.
That makes sense. And I think boredom plays a role too. When work feels monotonous, gossip becomes this weirdly exciting distraction from the daily grind.
Oh, definitely. It's almost like workplace entertainment, except the entertainment is built on someone else's reputation.
Right, and I think there's also this need for social bonding. Gossiping can create this false sense of closeness, like we're talking about them, so we must be on the same team.
That's such an interesting psychological angle. It's connection built on exclusion, which is a pretty shaky foundation if you think about it.
Definitely shaky. Okay, so let's talk about the different kinds of gossip, because I don't think it's all the same. There's harmless gossip, and then there's genuinely damaging gossip.
Right, like, did you hear Sarah's getting married is very different from, did you hear Sarah's about to get fired?
Exactly. One's just casual social sharing, and the other is spreading potentially false, career-damaging information.
And I think the tricky part is gossip often starts as one and slowly morphs into the other. Innocent chatter can turn into something a lot more harmful, the more it gets repeated and exaggerated.
That's such a good point. Like a game of telephone, except the stakes are someone's actual job and income.
Exactly. And by the time a rumor's gone through 5 or 6 people, it barely resembles the original truth anymore.
So what do you think the actual financial cost of gossip, like beyond just hurt feelings, how does it actually hit someone's wallet?
I think reputation damage is the biggest one. If people start seeing you as untrustworthy, difficult, or unreliable, even based on false information, that can quietly affect whether you're chosen for big projects or promotions.
Right, and often you don't even know it's happening. Nobody says, we're passing you over because of that rumor. It just quietly influences decisions behind closed doors.
Exactly. It's invisible but incredibly costly. Missing out on one promotion can set your income back years, sometimes even affecting your whole trajectory going forward.
That's a sobering way to put it. So gossip isn't just uncomfortable, it can genuinely shape your long-term earning potential.
Exactly, which is exactly why we wanted to cover this on a finance-focused podcast. It's not just office politics, it's a real financial risk hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so let's flip it around. What about people who actually gossip a lot? Are there consequences for them too, or does gossiping ever actually benefit someone's career?
Short-term, gossiping can feel like it builds alliances or insider status, but long-term, I think it usually backfires.
How so?
Well, if you're known as someone who gossips, people start being careful around you. They stop sharing real information because they worry it'll end up spreading around the office.
Right, so you actually lose trust even from the people you thought you were bonding with through gossip.
Exactly. And trust is honestly one of the most valuable currencies in any workplace. Lose that, and it affects everything: teamwork, leadership opportunities, even how comfortable people feel collaborating with you.
That's such an important point. Gossip might feel like social power in the moment, but it quietly erodes your credibility over time.
Definitely. Okay, quick question for everyone listening. Have you ever been the subject of workplace gossip, and how did you personally handle it? Drop your story in the comments. We'd genuinely love to hear how people navigated it.
Yeah, whether you confronted it head on or just let it blow over, we want to hear your approach.
Definitely. Sometimes hearing how other people handled it gives you real practical ideas for your own situation.
Agreed. Okay, so let's talk strategy now. If someone realizes they're the subject of gossip, what's actually the smartest first move?
I think the instinct for a lot of people is to panic or immediately confront whoever they think started it. But I'd actually recommend pausing first.
Why pause?
Because gossip is often distorted by the time it reaches you. Reacting emotionally to a distorted version of events can actually make things worse, or even confirm the narrative people are already spreading.
Oh, that's such a good point. Like, if the rumor is they're too dramatic, reacting dramatic kind of proves their point.
Exactly. So pausing gives you space to respond strategically instead of emotionally, which honestly makes a huge difference in how the situation unfolds.
Okay, so after that pause, what's the next step? Do you go straight to confronting the source?
It depends on the severity. For minor gossip, sometimes the best move is just letting it fade naturally. Gossip often burns out on its own if you don't feed it with a reaction.
Right. Drama needs fuel, and if you don't provide any, it often just quietly dies down.
Exactly. But for more serious gossip, especially anything affecting your professional reputation, I think a calm, private conversation with the source is usually the better route.
What does that conversation actually look like, though? Because that sounds intimidating for a lot of people.
I think staying factual and non-accusatory is key. Something like, I heard something was mentioned about me, and I wanted to clarify directly with you, keeps the tone calm instead of confrontational.
That's such a smart approach. It opens dialogue instead of immediately triggering defensiveness.
Exactly. And defensiveness usually just escalates things further, whereas calm clarity tends to de-escalate almost immediately.
Okay, but what about situations where the gossip is coming from someone in a position of power, like a manager or team lead? That feels a lot riskier to confront directly.
That's such an important distinction, and yeah, it changes the whole strategy. With a power imbalance, direct confrontation can feel a lot more dangerous career-wise.
Right, because now you're not just managing a peer relationship, you're managing someone who might have influence over your raises, your promotions, even your job security.
Exactly, and in those situations, I think documentation becomes really important. Quietly keeping track of specific incidents, dates, what was said, who was involved, gives you something concrete if things escalate.
That's such practical advice. It's not about being paranoid, it's about protecting yourself with actual evidence instead of just your word against theirs.
Exactly. And if it does escalate to HR, having that documentation makes your case so much stronger than just saying, I feel like my manager talks to me.
Right. Specifics carry so much more weight than vague feelings, even when the feelings are completely valid.
Definitely. And honestly, sometimes just the act of writing things down helps you process the situation more clearly, too. It's not just for HR, it's for your own clarity.
That's such a good point. Okay, let's talk about the other side of this too. What about people who accidentally get pulled into gossip? Like they didn't start it, but they got swept up in the conversation anyway.
Oh, that happens constantly. Someone starts venting about a coworker, and before you know it, you've nodded along or added a comment, and suddenly you're part of the story too.
Right. Even just listening and reacting can make you feel complicit, even if you never said anything harsh yourself.
Exactly. And I think that's why quiet boundaries matter so much. You don't have to make a big dramatic announcement, but gently steering conversations away from gossip protects your own reputation too.
What does that actually sound like in practice, though? Like, what's a natural way to steer away from gossip without seeming awkward or judgmental?
I think something simple works best, like, I haven't really been following that. How's your week going otherwise? It redirects the conversation without making a big scene out of it.
That's such a smooth way to do it. It doesn't shame the other person, it just quietly shifts the energy of the conversation.
Exactly. And over time, people start to notice you're just not really in on gossip. And honestly, that builds a really strong reputation for trustworthiness.
That's such a valuable long-term investment, being the person people know they can trust with sensitive information.
Definitely. And going back to the financial angle, trustworthiness is often what gets people chosen for leadership roles, client-facing positions, sensitive projects, all things that come with better pay.
Right, it circles right back to money. Reputation really is a financial asset, even though we don't usually talk about it that directly.
Exactly, and I think that's such an underrated part of career growth. People focus so much on skills and results, but how you're perceived socially matters just as much.
Okay, let's talk leadership for a second. If someone's actually managing a team, how should they handle gossip happening among their employees?
I think ignoring it is the biggest mistake a leader can make. Gossip left unchecked can quietly destroy team trust and morale, even if the leader isn't personally involved in it.
Right, because if employees see gossip going unaddressed, it kind of signals that it's tolerated, even encouraged.
Exactly, and I think good leaders set the tone early, modeling direct, respectful communication instead of behind-the-scenes talk.
What does that actually sound like in practice, though? Like, what's a manager actually shift a gossip-heavy culture?
I think addressing it privately and specifically works better than a vague, general announcement to the whole team. Calling out patterns directly without shaming anyone publicly tends to be way more effective.
That makes sense. Public shaming probably just creates more resentment and maybe even more gossip about the situation itself.
Exactly, it becomes this ironic cycle. And I think leaders also need to be really careful that they're not accidentally participating in gossip themselves, because that sets such a damaging example.
Right. If a manager gossips about employees, it completely undermines any effort to build a trustworthy team culture.
Definitely, leadership credibility really depends on consistency between what you say you value and how you actually behave day to day.
That's such an important point. Okay, let's shift a little. What about remote work? Does gossip look different now that so many workplaces are partially or fully remote?
Oh, that's such an interesting shift. I think gossip has just moved into different channels. Private messages, side chats, even entire group chats specifically created to talk about certain coworkers.
Right, and honestly, digital gossip can spread even faster than in-person gossip, since messages get forwarded and screenshotted so easily.
Exactly, and that creates a whole new risk, permanent written evidence. Something said casually can end up being screenshotted and shared way beyond the original conversation.
That's such a good point. It really raises the stakes because now there's an actual paper trail instead of just word of mouth.
Definitely. So I think remote workers especially need to be mindful, treating messages with the same caution they'd use in a face-to-face conversation, maybe even more.
Right, if you wouldn't say it out loud in a meeting, it's probably not safe to type it in a chat either.
Exactly. That's such a good personal rule to follow, honestly.
Okay, let's bring this back to the bigger picture. If someone's listening right now and they're dealing with gossip at work, what's the one mindset shift you'd want them to walk away with?
I think it's this. You can't control what people say about you, but you can control how much power you give it. Reacting with panic or obsession over rumors usually causes more damage than the rumors themselves.
That's such a powerful reframe. Focusing your energy on consistent quality work often speaks louder than any rumor ever could.
Exactly, and over time, your actual character and results tend to outweigh whatever temporary narrative gossip created.
That's such a strong note to build on. Okay, let's recap the big takeaway from today's episode.
The biggest takeaway is that workplace gossip isn't just harmless chatter. It's a real factor that can quietly shape your reputation, your opportunities, and ultimately your income.
Exactly. And protecting your reputation, staying out of the rumor mill, and responding strategically instead of emotionally, that's honestly a career and financial strategy all on its own.
Definitely. Okay, everyone listening, we asked earlier, but tell us again, have you ever dealt with workplace gossip, and how did you handle it? Share your story in the comments. We genuinely want to hear it.
And if this episode gave you a new way to think about protecting your reputation at work, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you're new here.
And share this with a friend or coworker who might be dealing with office drama right now. This could be exactly the perspective they need.
Definitely. Your reputation is worth protecting, financially and personally. All right, that's it for today's episode of Joobira Zone.
Stay smart, stay grounded, and don't let anyone else write your story for you. See you next time.
Take care, and keep building that reputation you actually want. See you soon.